Now, Jesus knows that it is hard for us to sometimes believe. He knows that sometimes it's hard for us to believe. But he makes provision even for that. Because sometimes things get in the way. Iniquity, intellect, things you're taught that were wrong. Sometimes the things you see with your eyes, they don't equate. It should not be happening that way. But he helps. Let's go to Mark 9. Maybe you're in here today and saying, I've been believing for something for a long time, or at least I thought I was, and I haven't seen it come to pass. Sometimes things just need to take time, and you cannot say, I'm going to relate this to birthing. A woman goes in, she has a birth plan, the way she wants it to go. And you should have one. But it usually doesn't go that way. You need to be flexible because God is going to lead this, not you. It's okay to have hopes and desires, but you have to be flexible, and you have to be flexible, child of God, for God to take you down a path that maybe isn't what you want. But he has an ultimate goal. Okay, it's chapter 9, and we're reading in verse 16. You guys are doing great. Are you all still with me? You believing? Hallelujah. I'm going to read in 14. And when he came to his disciples, he saw a great multitude about them, and the scribes questioning with them. And immediately all the people, when they beheld him, were greatly amazed, and running to him, saluted him. They greeted him. And he asked the scribes, what questions you with them? And one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought to you my son, which has a dumb spirit. And wherever he takes him, he tears him, and he foams, and he gnashes with his teeth, and pines away. And I spoke to your disciples that they should cast him out. And they couldn't. They couldn't. He answered them, and right now, I don't know if I can use the word frustration, because I don't know if Jesus has frustration, but he has something that that we can all relate to. I would call it frustration for me. Not sure what Jesus would call it. He answered him and said, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him to me. Now, the disciples had seen all the miracles. They had seen everything that he had done. They knew that they were also able to do those same things because he said they could. But yet they couldn't do it. So now he's frustrated because later, somewhere in the Gospels it says, if you don't believe me for what I say, then believe me for my work's sake. Have you ever seen anyone or ever heard of anyone ever doing the things that I have been doing at my hand? Have you ever? No, of course they had not. So the disciples who walk with him, get to question him, get to speak with him, they still can't cast this thing out. And he's going, how long? How long? And they brought him to him, and when he saw him, immediately the spirit tore him, and he fell on the ground and wallowed foaming. And he asked the father, how long is it ago since this came to him? And he said, of a child. And often it has cast him into the fire and into the waters to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. And Jesus said to him, if you can believe, all things are possible to him that believes. Church, all things are possible to you if you believe. Is your believer gone down? Are you so used to Christianity? Are you so used to the word? Are you so normalized, if you will, by the word that your believer is broke? Yes, you believed, you got born again. That's great news. But there's more believing that needs to transpire after conversion. If someone came up to you today and says, I have someone who needs healed, will you go, hey, I'll go and heal him? Not a problem. Because if you can't do that, that means your believer is messed up. Your believer's messed up. And immediately the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe. I believe. And this is really what I want you to hear. Help you, my unbelief. If you can't believe, if it's not, you're not finding the believer button pushed, cry out to him and say, help me with my unbelief. Every other breath, that should be, help me with my unbelief, because we live in a world that is torn with sin and iniquity, etc. Help me with my unbelief, because it's been given to you the ability to believe. If you believed everything that Jesus did, then your faith is ignited.